Hello everybody, welcome to another Junk Journal with me video. In this video I'm going to do 3 spreads where I just sort of take something from my stash and use it as like a prompt or inspiration or something for doing the spread, for doing the journaling. So this first one here, what you can see at the top of my, above my journal there, is just a pile of stuff from one of my many drawers of stuff for junk journaling. So like old cards and stuff I've put in my planner, things ripped from magazines, things people have like sent me, little name tags, not receipts, but like fun tags that you get in clothing and stuff. It's all sorts of stuff, and I have like 3 drawers of it, and that's just like the big stuff. But anyways, so I pulled out this card, you can just see it there, the black one with the gold writing on it, which has a really long quote on it, and I used that as my inspiration for this particular page. And as it was black, I thought I would do a sort of black and white sort of monochromy looking page. So I've just taken this paper here from one of those 6x12 paper pads that you can get either in the Works or the Range, that has these sort of black and white roses effect, and it's actually slightly textured, so it looks and feels really nice. Then pulling out one of my many little boxes and baskets of smaller bits and pieces for junk journaling, I pulled out lots of black and white things that I found. So there was this scrap of paper. I'm just going to turn my phone off because it keeps vibrating. Right, I'm back. Yes, anyways, that black and white scrap of paper, and decided just to keep the branding strip on it because it just looked more junk journaly. Went around the edges of it with, oh, I can't remember what distress oxide I used. Oh, I think I wrote it down actually. That's hickory smoke. And then yeah, other little bits and pieces. I think some of those like were sent to me by a pen pal or something. They're like little felt punched hearts, and there was that embossed stamped image and another little black and white quote that I thought was cute. And then I took that quote card, which I can't remember if I said already, but is a Kiki K one, and it's like a postcard. So I just wrote some journaling on the back that was prompted by what was written on the quote, like using that as the prompt for what I would journal about. Then to tip it in, instead of using washi, I noticed this wide black ribbon just there alone on my desk and thought I would use that to tip it in. So I'm using some wide red line tape, scoring that down really firmly with a bone folder, just because otherwise it won't stick very well. And then yeah, using that ribbon to tip it in. It did make it quite, what's the word, like really firm. So I decided to use washi on the other side, otherwise it would have kept popping open, if you know what I mean. And I think that's all for that side of the page. So again, I'm going through that big pile of stuff, and I came across, I think it's a planner divider from like, or I'd used it as a divider or something, that just says hello everyday life in the black and white. I like the little speech bubble, so I decided just to cut that out. And then that page that I'm going to put it on is from an old planner that I never actually used, but I really liked the paper, so I've taken out a bunch of it to put in my own junk journals. And as it was like a planner page, I thought I would go through my stash of planner stickers that I have had for, I don't even know how long. We're talking like 4 years at least, something ridiculous like that. These are like the Mambi ones, before Mambi started doing the big sticker books. So if you're familiar with like Mambi sticker books and stuff, you will know how old those are. And because they're like at the back of my pile of sticker books, I always forget to use them. So I'm just choosing random ones to kind of make it look like a decorated planner page, put that hello everyday life on, and yeah, it just kind of looks like a bit of a planner page, like an ode to how I decorate my planners and stuff. And then just taking a white gel pen and adding a few little doodles on top of that little, on that little phrase thing that I just cut out. And I think that's going to be it for these 2 particular pages. So really simple ones. So then for another prompt for my next couple of pages, I decided to go into my ephemera stash. Now, a few years ago, and when I say few, I'm like, this might be 5, maybe even 6 years ago, like before I was really crafting and mostly doing planner stuff with a bit of happy mail to pen pals and stuff, I went through this phase of just buying all of the die cut ephemera packs, just all of them, and lots of other people went through this phase as well, so I know you're out there. So I just have loads and I always forget to use it, so I just picked a random one. I didn't go through them, I just like closed my eyes and picked a box and was like, I'm gonna make a page based around whatever I pull out. So the one I pulled out, I think it's a Jen Hadfield one. I've no idea what it's called. Loads of people bought it because it was on a Hobbycraft 2 for 3, as I said, years and years ago. So loads of people had this particular pack. I think I'd use most of it, but yeah, I just pulled out a few sort of bits and pieces, and I'm basically just making a very florally kind of spread. On the right hand page where you can see the pink stenciling, I'd done that a few weeks before when I was making something else, a mixed media project, and I had leftover pink modelling paste, so I just sort of pluffed it into my junk journal to use for a future spread. Those flowers I was fussy cutting are from a very old Daphne's Diary magazine, and then other bits, as I said, are from that ephemera pack. The craft paper with the white splatters on were from another project, and just left over from that, and I thought they would end up, you know, being useful in some way, so that's why I kept it. Because I'd used that vellum piece, the thing that says Shine Bright from that ephemera pack, I wanted to add some more vellum and some more gold foiling. So going through these packs of vellum quotes and patterns and stuff, these were from the works. I think a lot of people picked them up last year. I just wanted to add a few little bits and pieces. So I tore out this sort of corner piece with the gold foil like leafy flourish, and I'm sticking all my vellum down with really thin red line tape, because as I'm sure you know, vellum can be such a pain to stick down, and like when you use wet glue it tends to fold up and curl and crease and stuff, and I usually like to use staples, but my staples at the moment are a coppery rose gold colour, so that wouldn't really match all the gold, normal gold on the page. So yes, that's what I just had stuck those down with at the edges, and then I ripped a piece of writing paper just to add some journaling, and the way I ripped it, I was going to put it on the other side of the page, but then I realised it actually fit really perfectly under that vellum I'd created. I didn't create it as a pocket, it just turned out that way. So like, yeah, like a little tuck spot that's up instead of down, if you know what I mean. And all I journaled about there was basically that quote that says make every day count. I'm writing how one of my parents, I don't remember which one, ruined that quote for me, because I had it up on a pin board in my craft room, and they walked in and they were one day and they just went, make the day count what? And I was like, right, no, that's ruined, completely ruined for me forever. And I've just realised I may have just ruined it for you as well, so I'm really sorry if I've done that. Anyways, just adding a few more pieces of vellum, some sticker flakes from my stash, and I think, oh, just a couple of scraps of washi just to fill in some blank spaces, and I think that's it for that particular spread. So the last one, again, choosing something old from my stash as a prompt, I looked at all of my journal cards, as in like Project Life and non-official Project Life cards. And yeah, I was just flicking through and chose these ones here. You can just see me putting them aside. They are from a particular Project Life collection, but I have no memory whatsoever of what it was called. So once I saw those, I was like, I tell you what, I'm going to use that. And I also remembered that that particular Project Life pack had come with 2 little packs of die cuts in ephemera. I was like, great, finally I can use this stuff, which I've had for I don't even know how long. So I took the gold card that had the mandala, I never know how to say that, on, and fussy cut around it, then going through those little packs to choose some little bits and pieces to use. Then I also remembered that there were some 4x6s in this collection as well, and that I could bring one of those in to use. And then this one, which has, you know, like the quite clear diagonal between 2 different sides of the card. There's the pretty gold and green one, and then the quite plain one. I thought I could create an interesting little pocket or tuck spot with those by placing them, well, cutting the card and then placing them either side of my paper to create, yeah, like a little pocket. I did trim them down a little bit because in their original size it was a little bit too big, but yeah, you can just see me trimming them down there, using the first one I trimmed as like a template for the other ones, so they would be roughly the same size. And also sticking them down in that way, one at the top, one at the bottom, meant I could use that mandala I'd cut out, but obviously it had 2 sides that were completely straight. So putting that underneath those meant like I looked like I had a full circle of it rather than the awkward straight sides. Like I didn't have to hide those anymore. So I did rough up the edges of the little pocket pieces. I went around them as well with an ink, which was one of the Memento Dewdrops in Spring Pansy, you know, the chalk. effect inks, and yeah, just adding tape to two sides of the little piece and then popping them down like that to, as I said, create that little pocket. And then yeah, just adding the little bits and pieces of ephemera and whatnot. And then I decided I wanted to cut this card as well, just because, you know, it's more interesting in your journal to have more interesting shapes than just squares and stuff. So just having that hello, these little bits here, again, pulled from, it was not the Daphne's Diary magazine, it was their planner that they made. Well, they make them every year. I bought one about 2 years ago. I used it for maybe half the year and then stopped, but it has so many pretty things in, so I've been able to keep it and use it for all sorts of creative projects. So like, so I ripped up those pieces, went around the edges with Distress Oxide in Dusty Concord, because there's lots of sort of purple elements to these pages. That page, by the way, on the right with the blue and the butterfly and the really pretty stuff, that was a printable from Studio Calico, which, if you're interested, I'll link the shop because they have some beautiful printable journaling stuff. Like, it's incredibly beautiful. And then yeah, I kept going around the edges of things with the oxide and just plopping them down here and there. Now, the last thing I really needed to do was find something to put in that pocket I created, and I pulled out one of my like printed vellum pieces, totally stolen from Etsy shop stock. These are the kind of things that go in my junk journal kits and my creative journal kits. It had that bluish purple tone that went really nicely with the rest of the spread. And then I was like, well, I need to write something on it, but I wasn't sure what I could write on it on the vellum that wouldn't rub off or be too faded or whatever. So I grabbed my Dymo label maker and just typed out, I just like making pretty things, because I don't know, when I do my journal spreads, more often than not, I've actually got nothing particular to journal about. I just want to create something pretty and maybe just add a little journaling here and there. So that's kind of what this is about. Like, you don't have to have something particular to journal about. You can just like creating pretty things. So that's what I wrote on that piece of vellum, or wrote on the Dymo label maker and stuck it on the vellum. And I think that's all I'm going to add. Yep, to that spread. And that's all my 3 spreads done for this video. So I hope you liked it. Maybe hope you found some ideas about just using random stuff from your stash as prompts for doing spreads and stuff. Relevant links, as per usual, will be in the description box. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me down in the comments, and I'm going. Thank you again. Bye bye.